Hello, fellow Bengal fans. It's Forever Bengals here. We're going to talk about the Vikings game again. I'm getting a lot of little typing trolls. Viking 28 fan again. He came up and he's saying that I'm crying about the refs. So I'm going to address this here and now. Bengals lost to the Vikings. Okay, the Bengals lost to the Vikings. They didn't execute properly, and the Vikings had a lot of breaks go their way. So the Vikings were able to beat the Bengals not because of anything, the Bengals being a bad team, but just because the Bengals did not execute properly in this one game. Okay, so there you have it. No more crow. No more crow about it. All right. Now I've taken a moment after the crow. I want to talk about why we didn't have the execution. Why the execution wasn't there. Every time we built momentum up, our momentum was taken away. There were so many false starts, so many holding calls, so many things that went against us. Even on the defensive side of the ball, there was a lot of neutral zone infractions. There was a lot of offsides, and there was a lot of there was actually two personal foul penalties on our defense, well, defense and special teams that hurt us. Okay, now the first thing I want to mention though about this is whenever a team whenever a team has to fight the refs, it's to build up momentum. It's impossible for them to win the game. And I'll tell you how the refs were actually doing it. They didn't just call flag, flag, flag every time they turn around. It was always after we had a couple successful series, successful plays. So first down, second down, then we get to third down, we convert the third down. First, second, convert the third. Then a penalty would come. So that's and I actually watched the game again, and that's what I kept seeing was the penalties, and it just every time we start building that momentum, there would be a penalty to take that momentum right back. I'll give you an example. There was one in particular play we converted a third down. It was 1st and 10. We gave the ball to Cedric Benson. The play lasted for maybe a second to 2 seconds. Cedric Benson had gotten 4 yards and fell down to his knee. The referees immediately threw the flag and said that there was holding on the offensive line. Took away those 4 yards and pushed us back 10 more yards and made us replay the down. So now it's 1st and 20. And, our momentum is already kind of blown there. We were doing good. We actually was getting positive yards every play. And now we're back and we have to start all over again. And then you can't win. You can't build up the appropriate momentum when that happens. And then false starts. A lot of there was probably 2 or 3 legit false starts. I don't doubt that. But there was a lot of offsides, and I was thinking, oh, that's offsides or neutral zone infractions. I thought that would be called on the Vikings defense. No, they called false start on the Bengals. And then when the defense had the ball, when the Vikings had the ball, and our defense was on the field, every time a guy would go off sides, they'd call it and it'd be on the Bengals. They would never call false start on the Vikings. So you have that. So that is why we didn't have the momentum. That is why our team didn't do as well in this particular game and wasn't able to hold its own. I would have preferred to have seen that game played out without the referee's interference because I guarantee it would have been a much closer game. I'm not going to say the Bengals would have won, and if you Viking fans who watch this would have actually listened to my other video, I was never saying that the Bengals was going to win or they would have won the game. I'm just saying it would have been a much closer game than what we had seen, and it was just bad all around. So before you go in and act like your team did something special by beating the Bengals, and you say that the Bengals are a bad team, watch the game again. Take a look at at how the refs always threw the flags every time we kept having any type of success and kept pushing us back. You can't win that way. And every time the Vikings had the ball, of course they're going to convert when they have 1st and 5, and then they have they're going to convert that every time. Whenever we put a good stop, they would call a penalty on us, and then the Vikings would get the ball back, or they even that personal foul penalty on Joseph, that offset it, Shianko's penalty. And it's not that Joseph deserved the penalty. I don't believe that Joseph should have got penalized. They just threw the flag and penalized him just to keep it an offsetting penalty. That's all I'm saying. If it would have been a more fair, unbiased game, the score would have been much closer. Okay, that's all that needs to be said. Now, if you're complaining, if you want to know why I made my remark about the Super Bowl, if you guys can even get to the Super Bowl, I say that because you have to play the Arizona Cardinals, who whipped your ass already. I said that because you also have to play the New Orleans Saints in New Orleans. You won't have your dome to play in. Also, and this is the biggest reason why I say this, is because Brett Favre, in his illustrious career, and you guys don't want to listen to this right now. When he played for the Vikings, you like to point it out, but now that he's playing for you, you want to ignore it. But in Brett Favre's illustrious career, he's only went to the Super Bowl one time. He's only won the Super Bowl one time. So, for you guys to sit here and say that you are going to the Super Bowl because you beat the Bengals is laughable. For you to think you're going to the Super Bowl because you are, I think, 11-3 now, 11-2. You think you're going to the Super Bowl? I laugh at that because Brett Favre chokes in the playoffs, hands down. There's 3 quarterbacks, active quarterbacks right now that choke in the playoffs more than any other quarterbacks out there. That's Phillip Rivers, Brett Favre, and Peyton Manning. Okay? Until those 3 quarterbacks actually make it to the Super Bowl and win more than one Super Bowl, I can't really count them as being good quarterbacks. Phillip Rivers hasn't even went to a Super Bowl. He hasn't even won a Super Bowl, but he's constantly put in there as one of the greatest quarterbacks. All right. Now, I'm not saying that Carson Palmer and the Cincinnati Bengals are going to the Super Bowl, and I'm not saying that Carson Palmer is an elite quarterback. But I like the Bengals' chances of getting to the Super Bowl this year than the Vikings' chances, because the 2 most dominant teams are in the NFC this year. Okay, I'm not worried about the Patriots if they have to come to Paul Brown Stadium. I'm not worried about San Diego if they have to come to Paul Brown Stadium, and we can get the 2nd seed. We can beat San Diego and get the 2nd seed. Now, if we don't get the 2nd seed, okay. I like the fact that if we had to go to San Diego and play the San Diego Chargers, we could beat them. Same with the Indianapolis Colts. I believe we can beat the Colts. All right? There's not a team out there that makes me worried and think that they're going to beat us come time for the playoffs. Except for the NFC, in the NFC, and that is the Arizona Cardinals and New Orleans Saints. And I even like how we match up to them. Maybe not Arizona as much, but definitely the Saints. All right? So, if you have a problem with what I say about your team, tough. I'm a Bengals fan. Get over it. All right? You don't like the Bengals? I get it. You're afraid of the Bengals. I get it. You might have beaten the Bengals, but you know that you didn't really beat the Bengals. That's why it matters so much to you about what a Bengal fan is actually saying about your team. So I'm leaving it at that, little typers. I'm not going to play anymore. I'm the Forever Bengals, and I'm out.